Hello, you're watching the Great Canadian Bagel here, and today I have another, and perhaps the final. We'll see, I might do one next week as well, depending on if data changes. Ontario election forecast. Now, at the time of recording this, I am still running a poll. It will still be in the pinned comment. At the time of this being published, which should be on the Saturday the 22nd, there will not be many days left to participate in the poll. The poll will be done on Monday the 24th. So if you want to participate, join in now. I'd also like to remind everybody that I am doing monthly Q&A live streams at the last Friday of the month. So if you want to have questions, just tag it in the comments below as Q&A. I do give priority to supers and members. And with that, let us begin. So the Ontario debate just occurred at the time of recording, well, a couple days ago. And polls have moved a little bit. But it's still looking like Ford is overwhelmingly going to win the race. The opposition has gotten to a little bit better position. Now, this one green seat in Parry Sound Muskoka, it's a possible pickup, but I'm a little skeptical myself. I think my math might be a little screwy, but the math is what the math is. Sometimes little small things like that can get a little out of control, but it is what it is. And what you're really seeing here is the Liberals and NDP are consolidating themselves a little bit in Toronto. And the rest of the province, they're doing terrible. The Libs have managed to retake Orleans and Kingston. Now, last video I published, those were probably more anomalous than they were like actual flips for the PCs, more just consequences of math quirks from the polling. But that said, the opposition's still not in a great position. So if we bring up seat trend here, you can really see the opposition has really just pushed Ford back to the position he was on the start of the election. The main exception being the NDP is down 6 seats and the Liberals are up 6 seats. That's pretty much the only difference here. You look at popular vote. I'll zoom this one in as well. Let me know, by the way, if the zoom is not sufficient. I've been told before that it was too zoomed out. So let me know if this is enough. Again, you can see here, the Ford is roughly the same position he was in at the start of the election. But the NDP is down 1.6 and a bit, and the Liberals are up about 4 points. Other New Blues, etc., are down a little bit, and that's the main discrepancy. So the main gist of this election is a lot of the NDP Liberal swing voters are consolidating behind Crombie. And I suspect turnout is lower. I don't think we're seeing, as of this January 29th projection here, I don't think these other and this new blue votes were consolidating behind Crombie. I think they've left the electorate, among a lot of other voters who have left the electorate, and it pushed all the rest of these parties up. I suspect we are about to go into a very, very low turnout election. I'm personally expecting less than 40%. Last election was about 44, so we'll see. And I also want to address one more thing here, because it's top of my head. Last video, I had Crombie's seat in Mississauga, Aaron Mills. Someone helpfully pointed out that I was wrong. I just labeled it incorrectly in my back end, and then since I labeled it incorrectly, I assumed I had labeled it correctly. Silly mistake. It's now correctly Mississauga, East Cooksville. Apologies for that. Thank you, helpful person. I should have remembered your name, but sorry. You know who you are, and you're a very helpful person. So that's the round off here. The opposition's not doing amazing. They're doing a little better. And really, what is there to say? Ford is executing his strategy as expected. Crombie is doing okay. Not great, but okay. And Styles is doing bad. I could rehash the same thing I've been saying the last couple weeks. But the one thing I will say here, now, at the time of releasing this will be published 5 days after the debate, so timeliness and all that. But I thought today I would discuss a bit about the debate performance. And specifically about the debate performance, I'm not going to discuss the merits of the ideologies of anyone here. Because if you are going ideologically, the Greens are going to like the Greens, the Libs are going to like the Libs, the NDP is going to like the NDP, and the PCs are going to like the PC. The people who don't like any of those will not like any of them. So there's really no point in me dissecting it based on ideology here. It will just be a waste of a video. You'll watch it and be like, okay, Bagel, yeah, that's your opinion though, right? No, what I'm gonna do here is I am measuring them based off of purely debate and rhetorical skills. Now, I'm not gonna play clips from the debate video here because you can watch it yourself. I don't really like clips because I think they're a little dishonest. People can clip things in a way that they want to clip it to make things different. I also find a lot of people clip things to pad their own content, and I'm not trying to make this video very long. My videos are usually relatively long, but I'm trying to make this one short and sweet, so I'm not going to go into the depths of playing clips for you. You can watch the debate if you want to. You'll see what I mean. And if you don't care enough to go watch the debate, you probably weren't going to care if I played clips from it. So I'm not going to do it. Comment below if you hate that choice, and if enough you don't like that choice, I'll never do this again, and I will actually play clips. But for now, I'm not going to play clips for it. So the gist here is I have a rubric I have created to assess debate performances. So let me just bring this up over here. So this is what I have as a rubric. Tweeted this out earlier today. So the rubric is as follows. An A grade, they stayed on their message. They had good moments. So what is a good moment? A moment is something memorable. Something that people will be like, oh yeah, remember that one thing? I'll give an example. A very classic one in Canadian politics is back to the 1984 election. The Brian Mulroney, you had a choice, sir, to referencing oh, that was awkward. I completely forgot his name there. John Turner. Should I clip that out on the editing? Yes. Will I do it? No. Referencing John Turner's carrying on patronage appointments that Trudeau Sr. was promising to do before he resigned. Now, so that is an example of a good moment. It's memorable. People will reference it about the debate. That's how they remember the debate. That's how they contextualize it. Multiple blow. A blow is you had a successful attack on someone. That it actually hit them in a way that matters. Because, for example, in this debate, Doug Ford many times said, none of you guys are going to cut taxes. Now, it's not actually a very good hit because no one voting NDP or Green is particularly concerned about cutting taxes. I think the phrase is the core base of those parties isn't concerned. Maybe some swing voters are, but the core bases aren't concerned. So for those two, it's kind of a meaningless attack. It doesn't do anything. Now, it's useful for Ford's message discipline to say it, but it's not actually very productive. And then for the Liberals, the no, you're not going to cut taxes is contested because Crombie's saying she is. So, again, not a great hit because it's not a clear hit. Now, and the final one is oration. The 4 criteria I'm using. So what is oration? It's, do you sound good? Do you articulate well? Do you have presence on stage? Do you have strong force of presence? Are you interesting to listen to? People want to listen to you. Is your phrasing and rhetoric good? And when I say that, I mean like the actual way your sentences are constructed. Are they good? In a sense, are they poetic in a way? Now, you don't want to be too poetic about things, but I digress. So those are the 4 main criteria. And now you'll notice here, most of them, so the way I grade things is you get a C. I'm not one of those university professors who's going to give you an inflated grade because you paid me $1,000 to be in my course. A C grade is the default grade. You get a C unless you did something interesting. To be a C is you stayed on your message, you didn't fumble, and to clarify, a fumble is kind of like the inverse of a moment or a blow, where you basically have a moment or a blow against yourself. And so, yeah. So no further ado, let us touch on how I rated these different candidates. Doug Ford gets a C. He's on message the entire debate. He's focusing on how only he can deliver these things. He's focusing on his investments, the spending his government's done. He's going to cut taxes, blah, blah, blah. The things that he's campaigning on, he's stumping on, he's staying on message for them. He's touching them all the time. He's hitting them. He's reinforcing them. He doesn't have any fumbles. If someone tries to attack him or he has an awkward question that's hard to answer, he just goes the straight politician route, diverts right back to message. Doesn't even care. Which is perfectly fine, by the way. It's better to go straight to message than it is to fumble. And Doug Ford's interesting to listen to, but it was kind of a lackluster performance from him in this debate. He wasn't particularly interesting tonight, or well, on the 17th. And obviously, he's never been a flowery or very poetic or very skilled rhetorician. He's more folksy, and it can be fine, and it can work very well. I'm not saying you have to be a very poetic, very artsy person to be a good orator, though it does help, because it makes your speeches more memorable, makes you more engaging to listen to. But that is Ford. Crombie has an interesting situation here. She actually had a good moment. When Doug Ford and her are in the one-on-one debate, subsection, about the tunnel project. I'm not going to play the clip, obviously. Again, you can look at the clip if you want. You can read the video, watch the video if you want. But Crombie attacking Ford over the tunnel, and the way she's impassioned and the way she hits him is memorable. It is a moment here. It's a fantasy project. It's a good line. But what brings Crombie down from this B grade is if the Liberal Party of Ontario has a message, it's really unclear to me, the viewer, what the message is. Whereas Ford is talking about how you need a PC government to do these investments, to fix these systems, to fight Trump, to cut taxes, things like that. It's really unclear what Crombie's actually getting at. She wants to fight Trump, she wants to cut spending, but she wants to attack Ford for spending. She's attacking Ford for not cutting taxes, but she doesn't want to give money to the rich, etc. So, her debate prep and her team did not clarify and have a cohesive plan going to the debate. So she strays all over the place, and it's not really clear what her message ends up being. She's not really circling back to it. She's not really reinforcing core points. So that's a pretty big failure. Though, she's a slightly better than passable orator. So whereas She's kind of like D level on staying on message. I would say she's C plus level oration. And the summation of a C plus oration, a B moment, and a D message, I gave her a C plus. Merit Styles, she is on message. Message being about how the NDP is the only one who's going to invest in you, blah, 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 blah. We're going to hire doctors. We're going to give you a grocery rebate, all that kind of weird stuff. Weird is the wrong word, but all that fun stuff. She doesn't have any fumbles. So, good performance so far here. She has 2 out of 3 C grades. She has no good moments. She lands no good blows. But her big problem to me is she's a really annoying orator. She has this whiny, self-entitled, self-righteous tone of voice. And her inflection is really annoying to listen to. She was by far the most obnoxious part of the whole debate. And there were times when I really questioned turning it off because she was just really annoying to listen to. So that brings her down. She's not a bad orator. Don't confuse that. But she's not a good orator. She's not even passable in my mind. She definitely needs work on her rhetoric and debate skills, because it's really annoying to listen to her. So I give her a C minus. She's not a failing grade yet, but she really needs to work on that, or else she's not going to get better. And then for Mike Schreiner, he stays on message. The Greens usually are pretty good at staying on message, I find. But he's pretty clear on his message about things like the environment in rural areas, because he's making a play for winning rural ridings in small towns. And he's really hitting hard the closing hospitals in rural areas and small towns, needing investment in these areas, etc., etc. So he stays very strongly on message. He has no obvious fumbles. He also has no good moments or lands any blows. So that's there. And he's a passable orator. He's not particularly interesting. His language isn't memorable. His language isn't interesting. It's not poetic. It's not flowery. His rhetoric is basic. But he does the job. He's not particularly interesting to listen to. He doesn't present his points or speech in interesting ways. There's no reason why you would be wanting to listen to Mike Schreiner other than you want to hear his politics. And a good orator is someone you want to listen to irrespective of their politics. You'll find in most circumstances, almost all politicians are only passable orators. Really good orators are very rare. Because politics in 2025 rarely selects for good oration. It helps in debates, but it's not actually that important for the rest of the campaign usually. So very few leaders are actually good at oration. Are very good at rhetoric. But some exist. And you'll notice them. You notice the ones who are actually quite good. But the other ones you don't. Everyone else is just kind of generic. So Schreiner, for having a perfect C rubric, also gets a C grade. So every single person in this debate is in the C category. They all get a passing grade, but none of them are good. It was a very lackluster, very boring debate. It's hard to say if it moved the needle or not. Again, if we go to my model here, from the 17th to now, yeah, okay, maybe moved the debate. Ford's down a little bit, but Ford's been dropping a little bit every week in February from the high right after the tariffs were announced. So hard to say if that's actually a trend from the debate or if this is just residual decline. Hard to say. But I'll cut that off here. Remember, run me in the comments if you prefer me to do these debate grades with clips next time. I don't like doing clips, but I will take your feedback. And with that, I bid you guys all adieu, and I will possibly see you again before the election. We'll see. But I will definitely see you at least once next week, because the 28th is the video, what's the word for it? Is going to be my next Q&A live stream. So with that, I bid you all adieu, and I'll see you next week.